Hello, 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 and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, and update show. There's some interesting reports today. There has been for a while, really, in regards to Emi Martinez to Manchester United. Not paid it loads and loads of attention. I just know it's one to watch in case Onana goes. But I've always felt that there's no point really listening too much into goalkeeping news until either A, Ornstein and Romano are on it, or B, Onana is gone. However, a source of information is coming out and pretty much saying Onana will leave Manchester United, which could heat up Manchester United's chances of landing goalkeeper like Emi Martinez. Now, this isn't Romano, this isn't Ornstein, and they always say you have to take everything with a pinch of salt, unless it's one of the few journalists that I'm going to name later in today's show. But it is one of the better sources out of South America. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss a few other stories in today's show. We're going to talk about Hugo Ekitike, because again, another decent source in Santi has linked United to Hugo Ekitike. When he was asked in an interview a couple of years back, he said his dream move would be Manchester United. He's obviously known for being a huge Manchester United fan as well. Despite the ridiculous price tag, United could pay the fee over 4 or 5 years, which they might not be able to do with Osimhen or Gyökeres, which may make the deal weirdly cheaper for Manchester United in regards to PSR. The players' wage demands is obviously the lowest. We will talk about that. Obviously, there was a report that came out earlier today that Gyökeres has rejected Manchester United. There was obviously that report that came out earlier today, but it came from Record Portugal. And as I said, take it with a pinch of salt. I will tell you which sources to believe. I'll tell you which sources to take with a pinch of salt. But yeah, let's get into the stories. Let's get into the news and all of that. But yeah, I want to talk about Ekitike and other things. But this is what's coming out on Emi Martinez. Emi Martinez already knows Manchester United wants him in goal next season. They've made contact, and Onana will leave, and they're going after him. So reports coming out that Onana will leave Manchester United. That is what's being said, and they're targeting Emi Martinez as a potential. It wasn't Onana might leave. They've said with some confidence here, unless the aggregator accounts got it wrong, that Onana will leave Manchester United, and they are going to go after Emi Martinez. Now, this is, in terms of Argentinian sources, a good source. This is a good Argentinian source. No, I'm going to tell you that for a fact. It is a good Argentinian source. Where I have the question marks is, why would an Argentinian source know about Onana? An Argentinian source will know from Emi Martinez's side, yeah? But Onana's side, what has the Argentinian source got to United and got to Onana? So that's the thing that makes me take it with a pinch of salt. It is a good Argentinian source. I'm not going to deny that. If it was an awful source, I would say it was an awful source. Saying he will leave United is a big statement because we know how complicated that is. But Onana, obviously, what he said in his interview today, the constant contacts with Emi Martinez. I mean, this is an interesting one. This is one to watch here. Yeah, I just think it's weird. I almost feel like this has come out from Emi Martinez's side. And I don't know if it's come out from Emi Martinez's side to try and scare other clubs into thinking he might be going to United so he gets more offers. That's my thought. Now, I broke an exclusive last month on Onana. And a couple of hours later, Fabrizio Romano basically said the same thing. I got information last month, and I tweeted it out before the last game of the season, that Onana would be dropped from the last game of the season, which 2-3 hours later was confirmed. 5 hours later was officially confirmed when the lineup came out, and that Ruben Amorim had told Onana to find a new club. That has now been confirmed true. He was dropped from that last game and all of that. And I did an exclusive on Onana. And the information I got on Onana was United want him gone. Ruben Amorim wants a new keeper. United wants him gone. And he's been told to find a new club. There's a reason Onana said in his interview today these words. Let me get it out. Will I leave United? I don't know. We'll see. He didn't go, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see is what you say when you're looking for a new club. If you say, if they'd asked that to Delo, he would have gone, no, I'll be there next season. There's nothing going on with Delo. If they'd asked that to Mason Mount, there's nothing going on. He said, no, I'll be at United next season. He can't say I won't be at United next season because he doesn't know that. I know reports are saying he will leave, but no one knows for sure if he will leave because anything can go wrong and it's complicated. But he's even saying, I don't know. He's even saying, I don't know. And as I said, what I got told on Onana was he's not in the plans. He's been told to find a new club. Ineos want a new goalkeeper. It might come down to sales and funds. What I was told specifically when it comes to goalkeeper and Onana is most likely scenario right now is Bay and Deer goes, we use that money to get a better second goalkeeper that will push Onana. Because right now, Manchester United can't afford to sell Onana for less than £26 million because they've still got 26 million left on his books and PSR. So United have a 26 or 30 million price tag on Onana right now, and the only club that's able to really pay that clubs in Saudi. Onana is open to going to Saudi. Onana is not happy about not being in the Champions League because Onana had to take a 25% wage cut. He's not happy about it. He's open to Saudi, Onana. Saudi have had some conversations with Onana, but I think it was exaggerated by the media. There's nothing really advanced ongoing. Onana is open to Saudi. There is a little bit of Saudi interest in Onana, but nothing is ongoing as of yet. Onana has got a new agent to help him find a new club. He's open to leaving United because he's been told Amrin doesn't want you, mate. He's been told Amrin doesn't want you, mate. Find a new club. The problem is no club in the Premier League or no club in the Spanish League is going to say, hi, United, we'll pay Onana's ridiculous wage demands and give you 30 million quid for him. No, I don't think any top club is going to do that with the season that Onana has had. So that makes it difficult. So for Onana to leave Manchester United, we need £26 million because if we sold Onana for £20 million, we have £6 million less to spend than if we'd have sold Onana for nothing, which sounds crazy in that sense, but it's just because of PSL we make a loss on him. So United need Onana to go, but they need a certain amount of money. So, you know, they're saying Onana will leave United. We're targeting Emi Martinez. We've had a lot of links to Emi Martinez. I'm sure the plan is get Onana out, get a new goalkeeper. And in fact, that is the plan. Manchester United want a new goalkeeper, but the budget for new goalkeeper is unlikely to be known to the end of the window. I've always said this. May was Cunha. June is Mbeumo, June is Sales, July is probably the striker, Gyökeres, Osimhen, Ekitike, I can't even say his name, also more Sales. I think Onana's going to come down to August. Being totally honest with you guys, look, we could get a Saudi bid for Onana tomorrow, and this time next week, Onana could be on his way to Saudi, bish, bash, bosh, and we're in a goalkeeping race. But I think goalkeepers and Man United is going into August. I think Onana, Bay and Deer, Sales, it's going into August. It's going to be late in the window, and I think that's when we could make a move. I also think if we sell Casemiro and we sell Garnacho and we sell Anthony and we sell Rashford and we sell Sancho and we make a nice amount of money through sales as well, I also think we're in a position that even if Onana stays, you get a goalkeeper in that could put Onana on the bench. But as of now, the money is going on striker and Mbeumo, centre mid, and then we'll go for goalkeeper. As of now, goalkeeper is something that's going to happen in July, August. And it's something that may be reliant on sales. And, I don't know if Onana will leave for sure. He's been told to leave. He's been told to look for a new club. The feeling is he will leave. But it's easier said than done. Thank you very much for the super chat, Garrett Thomas. He says, Alice, who would win after a few weeks of pre-season training? Current Man United squad, as in 2012 squad with retired players included. Honestly, even with the retired players, they could beat us. You never know. But I do think the fitness and athleticism in football is crazy these days. So maybe our current squad would beat the old squad if they're all retired and not play football in a good 10 years. But if we're talking non-retired, then we would probably lose 5-0 to our 2012 winning squad. If they weren't retired. Saudi need to help us out for Onana, not many suitors for him. For Onana, we're basically relying on Saudi. Like, that is the truth on Onana. We're basically relying on Saudi. Any news on Mbeumo? Yes, sort of. United are playing their game with Brentford now. The Athletic top tier, The Athletic said that Thomas Frank is trying to push for Mbeumo, but he still favours a move to United. The Athletic. Top tier, The Athletic said, Frank would like Mbeumo, but he still favours a move to United. So I will tell you that in regards to Mbeumo. They also brought Mattel, so I don't know. I don't think I'm going to tell you. Let's talk about Mbeumo quickly because I do want to talk about Ekitike. Why can't I say his name? I used to be able to say his name. Ekitike. Hugo Ekitike. So anyway, with Mbeumo, this is the situation. United want to do a deal that's 50 plus 10, 55 plus 5, 60 million. Brentford are trying it on. It's Man United. They're desperate. Why don't we try it on? they're asking for 70 million. Now, it's been a week since Brentford have asked for 70 million, and United have not budged above 60 million. They've not put that second bid in. They've not budged. Yeah? So we're in a position right now where we're all of a sudden saying, well, we might go for Gyökeres if they're not going to lower the fee. We're having some talks of Ekitike, la la la. We'll come back for it, la la la. So then Brentford have got annoyed. They want the deal to move on, and they want 70 million out of United. So they've gone out and gone, you know what, Thomas Frank's gone to Tottenham. Let's try and convince the media that he's really open to Tottenham. And Mbeumo isn't going to reject Tottenham, but Man United's his first choice. And if he can't go to Man United, he's happy to go to Tottenham. Okay? But United is his first choice. Despite what the media said yesterday, The Athletic have just said, in the last hour, he still favours Manchester United. You're going to believe The Athletic, or you're going to believe a nonsense journalist that says he wants Spurs? Okay. So, all of a sudden, yesterday, it came out from the Mirror Darren, that apparently Tottenham made a 70 million bid for Mbeumo. If Daniel Levy sees Manchester United getting rejected for 60 million, he's not going to go and bid 70 million. He'd probably bid 62 million. This is Daniel Levy. It was then confirmed by many credible journalists that Tottenham had not made a bid for Mbeumo. So there was news yesterday that Tottenham had made a bid for Mbeumo, this and that. It was then confirmed by credible journalists that Tottenham have not made a bid for Mbeumo. Basically, they want 70 million for Mbeumo, so they linked Tottenham to Mbeumo and said that Tottenham are going to bid 70 million to try and scare Man United. Man United are now putting out today, Eze's an alternative, Semenyo's an alternative, la la la, just letting Brentford know they got alternatives. It's mind games, it's a game. Basically, Man United and Brentford every day are having constant conversations behind the scenes. United are saying 50 plus 10, 55 plus 5. Brentford are asking for more. Man United are hoping Brentford will lower. Brentford are hoping that Man United will pay more. But I'm in this mindset. We will happily, if Brentford want to sell Mbeumo for 60 million, which is a very fair price because he's got 1 year left on this deal, obviously the option to extend to technically 2 years. If Brentford want to sell Mbeumo for 60 million pounds, he will go to Manchester United. If they demand 70 million pounds, things could change. But Tottenham have just spent 30 million quid on Tell. 30 million quid on Tell. Tottenham need a midfielder. Tottenham need Van de Ven cover. Tottenham need Solanke cover. After spending 30 million on Tell, I think that Daniel Levy would buy Mbeumo for 60 million. If it was 50 plus 10, I think Daniel Levy would go and he'd do that. But do you think Daniel Levy would be willing to pay 60 plus 5 for Mbeumo after he's just spent 30 million on Tell? I'm not sure. I'm not sure Daniel Levy would really want to go in and spend 70 million on Mbeumo. Brentford wants 70 million. United are saying we won't pay 70 million. They're putting out that Tottenham bid 70 million. We know that's not true. Would Tottenham really pay 70 million for Mbeumo? Would they? I don't know. I think Tottenham are probably like Man United, where they'd like the guy for 60 million, but 70 million? There's question marks around it, particularly with the player pushing for the move. So in regards to Mbeumo, I'm not worried about that. I'm really not. I think we should be able to get the deal under the line. It's sort of the price point. He still wants us. The Athletic have said today he still wants Manchester United. It's just about the price point. Will they lower? Will we go up? And you know what? It's one of those where if nothing changes in a week or two, and then Mbeumo's pushing on Brentford's door and saying, I only want United, Brentford will be like, okay, they're not going to cave. We have to lower our price point. If United start making bids for Gyökeres or Ekitike, Brentford may lower his price point. Because I don't think Spurs are going to pay 70 million. It's not like Manchester City, Spurs, Arsenal, Newcastle all lining up. They're all willing to pay 70 million. United want to do it for 60 million. It's more they're trying on to get 70 million out of us. And I think they'll realise that 60 million is a good price, 60 million is a good fee, and I think he'll go for 60 million. I think I'll go for 63 million. I think a deal will be done at 63 million. I'm just scrolling through the chat, and then we're going to talk about Ekitike. We're going to talk about a couple other stories in a second. Man United needs to just hurry up and play the money. Are there any midfielders we're looking at? Nothing credible, but Hayden Hackney, Edison have been linked. Mbeumo's not been hijacked. I mean, I see reports from, again, nonsense media that Tottenham have hijacked Mbeumo. He's on the verge of joining Tottenham. He's not. They could, but he's not. There's a lot of nonsense. Look, Gyökeres apparently has rejected Man United today, and apparently Mbeumo's on his way to Tottenham, and Tottenham are hijacking Mbeumo. And I'm seeing rivals online laughing at Man United. Oh my God, they've bottled Mbeumo, they've bottled Gyökeres. Wait, you're really believing this tier 5 guy over Ornstein because they're writing what you want to hear? I said this earlier. I said the problem with Rivals is a nonsense source that has no credibility, like Vacheus, could come out and write that Tottenham have hijacked Mbeumo, Gyökeres has said no to United, and this and that. And our rivals will lap it up and they'll quote tweet it and they'll talk about it. But yet David Ornstein will the next day will rubbish that news and say that article isn't false. But the rivals won't say that. It's there's a lot of fake news in regards to Mbeumo to Tottenham because they know United get clicks and they want to get United into a panic. 65 plus 10 definitely gets it on, but I don't think United want to do even that much. Apparently they want 60 plus 10. 60 plus 10. I think 55 plus 5 should get it done. 55 plus 7 is probably what United say. Take it or leave it, we walk away. There's some reports of them wanting 60 plus 10, which I think is ridiculous. And Mbeumo still seems keen, and Gyökeres is an open situation, so of course the journos print a new angle every day. They just need something to talk about. There's a lot of outlets out there that put a lot of false information out because they know that United get clicks. Look, as of what we know from reliable sources like Romano Ornstein, Gyökeres has not rejected Manchester United, and Mbeumo do want Manchester United. Yeah, I think Tell is going to Tottenham for 30 million. I'm pretty sure. So that could impact their budget. It could impact the budget. Yeah, I wanted to share something though. I was just reading a few chats. I do want to share some things in regards to Ekitike. I do want to name the good journalist for you guys as well. I heard Gyökeres prefers Arsenal. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he does. Like, I'm not saying that's not true, but I'm saying the outlet that's saying it isn't one to go, oh, that must be true. If Ornstein says it, you believe it. If Romano says it, you believe it. I believe he would prefer Arsenal over Man United. I strongly believe that. But the source that said it, I don't believe. He rejected Arsenal, Newcastle, Man United. How on earth would he accept Spurs? Because Thomas Frank's there, but I also think the media just think because Thomas Frank's there, he all of a sudden will want Spurs. If Man United reject him, he may go to Tottenham, but he may choose Arsenal. He may choose Newcastle. There's not a certainty that he's going to Tottenham. What's the weather like? Oh, it's absolutely boiling in England. It's like 26 degrees or something. I'm sweating. I can't lie to you guys. I'm sweating. It's roasting over here. And Mbeumo's only joining for the bag. Well, apparently he's not going to, he's not on the 250k a week that people keep saying he's on, but he's a Man United fan. Like, we might have offered him the most money. That's something we do, but he is a Manchester United fan and he's not on anywhere near the amount of money that people are saying he's on. So I wrote this earlier today to give you guys indication of, what do we need to listen to? Romano, this is for a Man United base. There's obviously certain journalists as well for other clubs that are really good as well. But this is sort of Manchester United based. If you're a Liverpool fan, Paul Joyce. If you're a Tottenham fan, Paul O'Keefe, Alistair Gold. This is more Man United based. Romano and Ornstein are sort of the two goats. But for Man United, Laurie Whitwell and The Athletic, whoever works for The Athletic, that could be Adam Crafton, that could be Michael Critchley, that could be Andy Mitten. Anyone that works from The Athletic is genuinely credible. Laurie Whitwell is probably the main one. So those guys definitely, I believe 99% of what they say. Other good sources, Muppeteers and Sully have information definitely about things going on behind the scenes and all of that as well. They have, they get indications on lineups. Muppeteers been very accurate with the Mbeumo stuff, and again, they said that you look. The Mbeumo story that came out yesterday is probably planted by Brentford and Spurs to push Man United. Sully's been very good. Sully talks. And another good source is these aren't United-based journalists. I think Sammy Motbell does more Arsenal. Matt Law does more Chelsea. Simon Stone. I mean, he used to be better known. He used to be better known back in the day when he used to get a lot more news. But again, he's still a decent source of information. Jason Burt. They're normally pretty good. If they came out with a story on United, because they might put a story out on United every 6 months. They don't use United for clicks. If you want academy news, then Academy Scoop. Sully's also very good when it comes to the academy as well. Muppeteers is decent. Ben Jacobs, 3 months ago, Ben Jacobs wouldn't have been on it, but this summer, Ben Jacobs has been spot on with a lot of what he said. And then look, there's other sources abroad. If we were trying to sign a player from Ajax, like Hato, Mike Verwey is like the David Ornstein of Ajax. If we were trying to sign a player from Tottenham, Paul O'Keefe is worth listening to for Tottenham news. Other names have said, look, Santi's all right. We're going to talk about what Santi said on Ekitike in a minute. He's a decent journalist. Reese Hawkins, particularly French news. Tanzalik, potentially Lugan, French news. Christopher Michaels, all right. Stephen Ralston, if we're going academy. Yeah, there's, that's sort of information and sources in and around United. So I thought I'd do that as well. Simon Stone now mainly reports when any deal is pretty much in final stages. He used to be quite good back in the day, but he's sort of dropped off a bit because he does other stuff now. But he doesn't lie. He doesn't lie. He's trustworthy. He might not put much out now, but at least you can believe it. And for me, with journalists, it's quality over quantity. I don't want you to be giving me updates of things I want to hear or news here and there or loads of updates. If you give me an update and it's right, even if it's one update a year, that's better than 10 updates and 2 being right. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people saying Chris Wood. I don't know. We're not in for Chris Wood. We're not in for Neil Maupay. No. We are in for Ekitike, and apparently our interest in Ekitike is serious. So this is one of the journalists that I named. Oh no, wrong slide. This is one of the journalists that I actually named as worth listening to as well, saying this. So let's dive into this. Ooh, knackered, Discussions between Manchester United and Hugo Ekitike's agent have been more concrete over the last couple of days. Discussions are considered positive, and United know all of the conditions for a potential deal. So this is coming out right now that there's been further discussions. It was obviously said a few days ago by Florian Plettenberg that we're in for this. It's now come out that there's been further discussions. They're more concrete, and discussions are considered positive, and United know the conditions of a potential deal. So Santi, a good source of information, is saying, look, what came out on Ekitike the other day has some truth in it. United are interested in Ekitike. They do like the idea of the move. There's been conversations, and look, there's a talk about it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. He's not saying it's going to happen, anything like that. But there's, a talk and an understanding that, United's agent have been having those conversations with Ekitike. He is on his list. He is on this list. He is one to watch. So this was particularly interesting. I also want to show you something on Ekitike. Bear with me one sec. And that is this post here. And I'm not going to play the video, but I'll get the post up. I'll get the post up one sec. But a couple of years back, he was asked his dream club, and he said Manchester United. His dream, he's a Manchester United fan. He was asked a few years back, what is your dream club? And he said Manchester United. Look, Liverpool are in for him, Chelsea are in for him. He may well go to them, fair enough. But his dream club is Manchester United. So that's one. Someone said not impressed. I like the guy, but he's not the most complete. I think if we had a stable environment, if we were Liverpool, or if we were someone that was stable, he would be honestly, arguably first choice for me. For me, Osimhen is my first choice because just experience in that. But if we were Liverpool, he would arguably be my first choice because of just what his potential is. But because Manchester United isn't the environment for young strikers and getting the best out of them, that's my only fear. I like the player, I don't like the price. Ekitike for £50 million, love it, do it. Ekitike for talking £80 million, I don't like one bit. He's a good player, but it makes no sense to spend most of our money on 9 targets that are the least proven. That's the mistake we've made in the past. We need someone that's a little bit proven. That's what we need. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good profile. I think an Mbeumo and Ekitike Cunha front three works really well. I think he's a good fit for our own system. I do. But I don't know if we're talking £80 million for a guy that's had his first proper good season in the last few years, because it didn't really go his way when it's PSG. Bundesliga players don't always translate the best of the Premier League as well. There's that risk. I like the player, but I don't like the price. I like the player. I think £50 million, I'm happy to do it, but I don't like the price. I think it's a good signing, but it's a risk. And I don't think we're in a position where we can spend £80 million on a risk when we know we need money for a centre-back. So we know we need money for a centre-mid, and we know we need money for a goalkeeper. Is he better than Sesko? Yeah, he's better than Sesko in my opinion. Um, Alice, I think United are trying to make good connections with agents and clubs just in case they don't get their top striker target. I think, interestingly, there's obviously something going on with Eki. I can't even say his name. There's obviously something going on with Ekitike and Man United. There's obviously conversations going on because two decent sources have said that. But I do wonder, are United making it known that they're looking at Ekitike, that they're having conversations with Osimhen, just to make Sporting aware it's not Gyökeres or bust? You know, United like Gyökeres, but they're not going to spend more than 60 million on Gyökeres, so they want Sporting to know they have other options, so Sporting don't hold them ransom. Is it also the fact that because we've stalled the Mbeumo talks, we're all now having a look at other strikers. We stalled Mbeumo talk, as the Muppeteers said. We might sign a striker and then go back and for Mbeumo in July if Brentford are going to muck about. So we stalled Mbeumo talks. Are we now looking at a striker? Is it a tactic to scare Brentford? Is it a tactic to scare Sporting to keeping Gyökeres' price down? There's those many things that you can look at it as well. He's not worth 100 million. They're, for me, if Marmoush went for 75, then he's 65 at the most. The player United get, Ruben needs to know them well, and realistically, I'd get Osimhen. We ain't signing Ekitike unless we are frying bigger fish at the moment, such as Liverpool goals. Who do you think Liverpool will get? Who do you think? Because I think I can see Liverpool going for him, but who do you think he'll get? We need a proven 9, not a gamble. Like, look, I think he's a really good player, and I think he could be really good, but I think it's a bit of a gamble. And I just think we're not in a position to take risks. Liverpool could potentially take a risk there. You know, Arsenal could potentially take a risk there because at the end of the day, Havertz can do a job. But I do think Arsenal would want ready-made. But United are the last team that can take a risk because Højlund was the worst striker in the Premier League, arguably last season. And I know he doesn't get a lot of service, and it's not always Højlund's fault, but he was poor. There is a news story that's actually just come out on Victor Osimhen. Also, apparently Kendry Pius unfollowed Chelsea on Instagram as well. He's a top young talent that went to Chelsea. Do you know what? It's mad. There's a couple of top young talents that agreed to join Chelsea like a year ago and are now annoyed that they're being sent out on loan to Strasbourg. Like, what did you think? Like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, Kenda's going to see Chelsea going out and buying a load of wingers, but he chose Chelsea over Man United. Like, what did you think? But yeah, apparently Manchester United are one of the 8 clubs that have contacted Victor Osimhen, guys. So let me share this out on my screen. Again, Rudy Galletti, not a tier 1 source of information. So again, I'm not saying get excited, and but look, he said that 8 clubs have contacted Osimhen in the last few days. Galatasaray, but they're giving Leroy Sané 400k a week. So I don't know financially, can they do that? Juventus, PSG, Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, Milan, and Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid's the interesting one because they've got Mbappe and Vinicius who don't want to play on the right. But Real Madrid probably has the most pull. I don't see him staying in Italy. If he wants out of Napoli, I don't see him going to Juventus or AC Milan. So it puts, for me, I think this is the race for him. PSG, Chelsea, Man United, maybe Arsenal, but I think Arsenal and Pasesco. I think these clubs are the 3 front runners for Osimhen. Now, Chelsea looking at Ekitike, but again, his price. It could be Chelsea get Osimhen, we get Ekitike. Like Arsenal get Sesko, we get Gyökeres. I think PSG, if I had to guess, are the leaders. If I had to guess right now where I think Osimhen will go, I think it's PSG. I think Man United, Chelsea, and PSG are the top 3. I think they are. I think they're the 3 clubs that could go in for him. We are having talks. We have interest. If I was going to guess, I could see him ending up at PSG in regards to Osimhen. Mateta's proven, but he's not. Yeah, he's not going to leave Palace. Like Mateta, if you could get Mateta for £35 million to give us the funds to sign a goalkeeper and a midfielder, I'd do it. Like, I like Ekitike, but if someone said you spend 85 million on Ekitike, or you spend 30 million on Mateta, and then that way you've got the funds to get a goalkeeper and midfielder this summer, I'd spend the 35 million on Mateta, especially when you've got Mbeumo and Cunha coming in on top of that. I don't think you need to spend 100 million on a striker as much because you've got 2 very good goal-scoring wide players. Kirkers looks set to go to Liverpool. Liverpool also could get Isak, true. Why Chelsea basically signing constant every why join Chelsea? Basically, every signing constantly gets quickly replaced. Yeah, there's beef going on with Kendry Pies in Chelsea at the moment. And I said this when Kenda joined Chelsea. I said, as a young player, when there's 5 other young players in your position that Chelsea have signed, I don't get it. It's to take them on loan to Strasbourg. The ones that are good enough come back. Everybody else goes. Esteval will shine at Chelsea. He's just that good. But Pies, Kenda, they could fall behind. I think Chelsea have signed some great youth, but I think they're stockpiling on the youth talent. And I was quite surprised that Kenda chose Chelsea over Man United. But I also think the agents aren't very good with young players. I think the agents think about themselves, not the young player's career. And they go, well, Chelsea's going to give me a nice agent's fee, push their player to Chelsea. But look, there's a lot of good young players that have joined Chelsea and now they're upset. And it's like, did you not predict that? I'm not saying, if you join Man United, you're going to have a better career, But I'm just saying, with Man United, we've got a lot of young players, but I feel like there's a plan for our young players. That you look at Aiden Heaven, you look at Chido getting minutes, whereas with Chelsea, I don't know. Julian Alvarez, there was a link saying that United were interested in Julian Alvarez, but I never bothered even reporting it on this channel because I thought it was a load of BS. We've also been linked to Samu, but it was from like a nonsense source. So again, I didn't really bother reporting that. Like I might, if somebody, the thing for me is there's 5 tiers of sources, and tier 5 I won't even do. If a tier 4 source is put something out and it's doing the rounds on Twitter, I will talk about it and say it's a tier 4 source. Tier 5, I won't even talk about my channel. Tier 4, very not credible, but if it's doing the rounds on Twitter, if people are talking about it, I'll talk about it. Tier 3, we talk about it, we say to take a pinch of salt. Tier 2, we give them credit, say they're an okay source, but we explain what, my thoughts on it. Tier 1, we 100% report. Delap could regret joining Chelsea if they sign Ekitike. They've also got Jackson there. Yeah, you could. Would you take Pies? I mean, he's a great young talent. I would have liked Mastantuno or Esteval if I had to pick 2 of the talents in South America, but one's at Real Madrid and one's at Chelsea. I think they're the best 2 out of South America. Do we need Mbeumo? We have Bruno, Mount, Ahmad, Xerxes, Maynard for the number 10 position. Someone will be dropped. Because Ahmad can play right wing back, and Mbeumo can play striker, and Mbeumo 20 got. I would go for Mbeumo. I think we don't need to spend 70 million on him, and I think if Man United walk away because Brentford will not accept 60 million, I can't be mad at United because there's a lot of other good players we can get for 60 million. I'd like Mbeumo because he's Prem proven and he knows the system. But if Man United walked away, if Man United put in a 60 million bid, take it or leave it, walked away, I can't be mad about it. We're not in a position where we have to do this and we have to spend 70 million. But I would like to do the deal. But 60 million. We should look at the youth as well. Shea Lacey looked really good in that little 15 minutes he got in that little postseason tour, didn't he? Shea Lacey, I think, has a future at United if he can stay fit. But the problem with Shea Lacey's injuries, Shea Lacey and Mantato are probably the 2 young players I go, they've got a future. But it is about the injuries. Are we looking at Jan Bissek? We had a little link to him, but it wasn't credible. I wish we were, but it wasn't credible. Do you think we will sell Collier? You know what? Good one. Collier is definitely one to watch. I think a loan is more of a possibility to a Premier League club. I think he's someone that could go down to a lower. I say mid-table Premier League club. We are literally a mid-table Premier League club and have been the last 2 seasons. But I feel like he's someone that could go to Brentford and do well, or go to Fulham and do well. So we'll talk about Ekitike, and I saw this. I'm going to share it on my screen. Like, could he end up costing less? Is the interesting thing. Oh no, that's the wrong screen. Could he end up costing less? Let me get this. Bear with me one sec. I saw this tweet. Anyway, so this was said by Robbo. The amortised fee for Ekitike will be far below Gyökeres and Osimhen, even if his transfer fee is higher. That's what the club will care about, combined with the upside of his value in terms of potential growth as a player. So potentially, even if he costs 85 million and the other 2 cost 60 million, United may only have to pay 20 million this year for Ekitike, and they may have to pay 22 million this year for Gyökeres, which could financially push United towards I can say his name, and then when I think about saying his name, I can't. Ekitike. It's like my tongue doesn't want to say it. Do you know? So potentially as well, financially, it's doable. But I don't want to be spending 85 million on him. Like Liverpool like him, Chelsea like him, but there's a reason they haven't made a bid. Like there's a reason they haven't made a bid because he's not 85. Like 60 million pounds is a good deal. 60 million pounds is a good deal, but 85 is it's taking the mick. It's asking for too much. So there was that as well. Do you think it's agent talk? Could be agent talk. Like right now, I think that we will get Mbeumo. I think it will just take time. I think we will go for Gyökeres. And I think if Arsenal get Sesko, we will get Gyökeres. And I think as of now, Arsenal are more likely to get Sesko, but Gyökeres to Arsenal cannot be counted as off. There's a chance that Arsenal get Gyökeres, but I think they will get Sesko. I think right now, if I was to guess, it would be Gyökeres and Mbeumo. But there's a possibility of Osimhen, there's a possibility of Ekitike, but I still think that Gyökeres is probably the one that we want the most. I do feel like we'll get Mbeumo. The Athletic said today, despite reports, he still favours United. We know to believe the Athletic. But look, it will be one to watch. But also another big thing is the sales. We need Anthony out. We need Garnacho out. I think United are, the Garnacho sale's the big one. If United can get 50, 60 million pounds for Garnacho, that's the big one. 60 million pounds pure profit. If we then sign players over 3-year deals, if we get 60 million in pure profit for Garnacho and everyone we sign is over 3-year deals, then that could give us 180 million to spend in PSR. But yeah, I think Gyökeres has a deal which means he could go for 58 million, and if that is correct and that is true, then I think United could be willing to do that. Ekitike's price would need to be lowered. Osimhen is about wage demands, but I think something tells me Osimhen will end up at PSG, Gyökeres will end up at United, Sesko will likely end up at Arsenal. That's my sort of guess in regards to things. But listen, people, I'm going to wrap up today's live show here because I've got a few bits and bobs to do, but I'm just going to see if there's anyone worth redirecting to. I literally don't think anybody is live right now to redirect you guys to. I'm just trying to see anyone good live. Let me know if there's anyone in the comments you think that's good worth redirecting to that's live. I can't see anyone. So yeah, big up everybody for tuning in. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.